Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. On today's episode, I'll finish talking about corporate finance, and this is going to be my last finance episode for a while, but be sure to check out all of my notes in LinkedIn, and also if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll try to respond to them. So, what is today's episode going to be about if we're going to close all of this finance loop? Basically, the most important application of finance and the one where we're combining everything that I've been talking in my previous episodes. And this is in M&As, or also known as mergers and acquisitions. So, why would firms merge in the first place? Mergers and acquisitions are an investment project to acquire a firm, and they are usually going to create value if the net present value is positive. So, of course, you already know this. This was our first decision, investment decisions. We are going to do an acquisition if NPV is positive. But then, how can we know about this acquisition? It's all going to be about the synergies created. And so synergies are going to be the key word here because each firm is operating independently on its own, but the reason to merge would be that going together would create something better than simply the sum of its own parts, right? So that's the only reason behind a firm merging with another firm. And also, just in case you get confused, mergers and acquisitions mean the same thing. If I say two firms merge or one firm acquires another firm, it's basically going to be interchangeable. It sounds more elaborate if we put it as M&As or mergers and acquisitions. But in this episode, I'll be talking about it indistinctly. So, what we are going to do, basically for this big process, is going to be that each firm would be valued independently with its own WACC, right? And adding these values would just give you the value of the combined firm with no synergies. So having 1 + 1 = 2. But I was just telling you that would be without a purpose. Firms are going to want to create a little bit more than just the sum of its values. So what we have to do is also have a combined firm that should be revalued with our new expected WACC and growth, which is going to have embedded all of the synergies. And once we have that, we can subtract the first value, which was the original sum, from the one that has more in it. And this would give us specifically the amount of the synergy or the value that is created when we're doing this M&A. So that would be regarding our first corporate finance decision. What are we going to be spending our money in? Second corporate finance decision was how are we going to pay for it? And here we are going to have two options. You can usually pay for mergers and acquisitions using stocks, and this is going to be called as equity financing, or you can use cash, but firms, of course, don't have a lot of cash in hand, so this is going to be called debt financing, because by cash, we usually mean they're going to go to the bank, ask for some cash, and then give that money as a form of cash in the transaction. So let's start looking first at the stock part. With stocks, the acquirer is going to issue some shares to exchange them for the target's shares. And this is going to be crucial, and it's one of the main reasons why firms want to have a higher stock price, because if they issue new shares at this price, they are going to be able to buy firms. And so shareholders are going to become owners of the combined firm. If I was first in firm A, and then this firm is going to be acquired by firm B, my shares are going to become now shares of A and B together. So this is going to be hopefully good also for shareholders, but for the acquirer, he's going to be paying them through shares. And one important concept here is that the synergy risks are going to be shared between both firms because they're both going to keep, let's say, part of the stocks. So I was just telling you, if I'm owner of firm A, now I'm going to be owner of AB, but I'll still be shareholder or owner. Now, if someone from B was also owner of B, he's also going to be owner of A and B combined. So we're both going to be sharing the risks. If we have upside, we'll split it between both of us. If we have losses, we'll also split them between both of us. So it's going to be a safer method. If we look at cash, on the other hand, the acquirer, I was telling you, it's usually going to raise debt and will pay for the target's shares, the target of the acquisition, with all of this cash proceeds. And so with cash, the person that's acquiring is going to take all of the risk, and especially the risk of the failed synergies. So what if all of the synergies that you calculated didn't go through? Well, the only person now bearing with this cost is going to be the acquirer, because let's go back to my example. I'm going to be firm A and I'm going to be acquired by firm B. Firm B just paid me cash. I can walk away and I don't care what happens about this acquisition. Before, I was still part owner, but now I don't really care. So things could go wrong and that wouldn't make a difference because firm B already paid me cash. So this is going to be a little bit more risky because the target already received the payment and usually a premium, while the acquirer just got into risk. Also, there may be an upside for the acquirer if he or she does realize all of this synergies. Then the upside is going to be 100% for the acquirer. But also, if it has losses and synergies can't be realized, 100% of the losses will also be for the acquirer. So cash is usually going to make it a little bit more risky for the acquiring firm, and it will be better for the target firm. So if we had to calculate now what is the value created, which was another of the steps that we learned in corporate finance, we would have to do it separately. First for the target company and then another hand for the acquirer. So let's start by valuing the value created for the target. And this is usually going to be the value of the payment shares in the combined firm plus the cash received minus the original value. So let's break all of this big equation down. The original value was the company value. So if we go back to my example, I am company A, I am going to have an original valuation. This, we're going to subtract it because this isn't value created. This is my original value from the two possible things that I might get. The value of shares in a combined firm, this would only happen if it was done through share purchase, or the cash that I received, which would only happen if it was a cash transaction. Maybe you might find hybrid transactions, so that's why in this equation I included both of them. But basically it will be all of the benefits that you received minus the original value. And that difference is going to allow you to know how much value was created from the transaction. If we go to the acquirer's hand, then it would also be the value of the non-payment shares in the combined firm. So for the acquirer, you would only get extra if you're paying with stocks, and you have some remaining ones that are going to go back into the combined firm minus the original value. So here, there is only possibility of value creation for the acquirer if it's paying with stocks. When it's paying with cash, it's going to be way more simple because you just hand out the money and the target goes away. So for the acquirer, he might or she might prefer using stocks. Now, if we think of all of the risks that the acquirer or the target are incurring through this merge and acquisition, is going to be not realizing the expected synergies. This is going to be the main risk because before I was telling you it's all going to be about the synergies. Like companies are literally doing these transactions just for the expected synergies. So their main risk obviously is going to be not realizing those synergies. And so for you, I have 5 tips in order to reduce those risks. And the first one is that cost synergies are going to be way more easy to realize than revenue synergies. And so why am I saying these 2 things? There are 2 ways for a company to increase profitability. One would be by reducing costs, the other would be by increasing revenues. So cost synergies might be if I'm buying someone that already has operations in another country and I'm avoiding all of the tax costs and all of the transportation costs that I have over there. This would be very easy to realize. On the other hand, revenue synergies are going to imply that if we go together, we're going to be selling more. And this is very hard to quantify and to do in real life, while costs no. So if you're doing a merger, make sure that you are prioritizing the cost synergies because this ones will be easier to achieve and therefore it will be less risky. Second tip would be that you should always make a plan, commit to the plan, and track the plan because what can't be measured can't be improved. Third one is going to be that you should not only anticipate what's going to happen in the company, but also use the other C's, the customer and the competitor reaction. Because of course, this is going to bring lots of new changes and it will bring a change into the overall market dynamics. Not only the big combined firm, but the customer's reaction to this firm or the competitor's reaction to this combined firm. The fourth one, and this one is crucial, is that you should incentivize all of the good workers from the target firm. Because in these acquisitions, usually there are going to be lots of layoffs and you want to keep the right people in order to, again, realize the synergies. And the only way of doing it is keeping especially all of the good people. So you have to create enough incentives for all of these good people from the target firm to stay in the new combined firm. And lastly, the fifth thing is that you should try to create value together, not separate. So remember that all of the acquisitions were done through a purpose, creating more value together. If after the acquisition you still plan on creating value but each one separately, then that wouldn't make any sense. You should try to join efforts and always work together instead of separately, even though this is going to mean that we'll take higher progress. So for closing up the episode, I wanted to give you the 8 steps to just calculate everything that you need to know regarding mergers and acquisitions. And I'm going to walk through them very fast because they're all going to be a combination of everything that I've been telling you in my previous episodes. So first step, calculate the value of the firm using DCFs. Second, calculate the value of the synergies that are going to be working for perpetuity. Third, you're going to discount the value of the synergies for the present value using the combined firm walk. Fourth, you're going to determine a premium for the target firm, and obviously this one should be smaller than the synergies because if it's bigger, then that would be overpaying and it would be too much. But it also can't be 0 because then the transaction wouldn't go through. You have to offer the target firm a bit of a premium above its value in order to make the transaction. Fifth step would be that the combined firm is going to get the present value of the synergies minus the premium. And then sixth step would be that this value in step 5, which is the value of the combined firm, what it gained, is going to split in 2. This is going to be when it's a stock acquisition. And so this is going to be split in 2 for the target's old shareholders and for the acquiring's old shareholders. Because remember, now it's a combined firm, but still you'll have to give the value for those 2 old parts. So the target firm is going to receive the value plus the premium on the one hand, and then the acquiring firm is going to only receive the percentage that it had left after we already subtracted all of the premium. Then the seventh is going to be getting the value that's going to be received by the acquiring firm. So what I was just telling you, step number 6. And last one, step number 8, is going to be getting the value received by the target firm. So this is going to be 2 parts. It's going to be the premium that you paid plus the extra value that they got from the combined firm. I hope all of this makes sense, and I'm going to share a note in my LinkedIn so you can check it out on the episode description. I would appreciate it if you can give me a rating and share this podcast with other people that are eager to learn finance and more knowledge that's related to the MBA. I'll see you next week.